YouTube, Ship here with a review of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, Legacy figures, both Wave 1 and Wave 2. Even though they came out pretty close to one another, it was only about maybe a month or so difference from when I found them. Wave 1 consisted of the Pink Ranger, the Black Ranger, the Red Ranger, and Ivan Ooze, while Wave 2 consisted of the White Ranger, the Blue Ranger, and the Yellow Ranger. Though I did find like the entire waves together on the shelf at one time, at one point, so your stores may have varied, but that's how the cases were split up. Unlike the other Legacy figures, these were $14.99 at launch, and still are in most cases, outside of some random sales here or there. So you're looking at $14.99 a piece for these, and I have to say that these are all quite worth it for that price. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at the packaging, and then start our looks with Ivan Ooze. And the style box carries over the triangular shape of the old Legacy figures, as well as the original 8 to 10 inch, whatever scale it was, figures from the Mighty Morphin days. So you're looking at a pretty decent replication, that's right, I think, of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie boxes way back when. The power is on is their little tagline, and they had a little sort of a film strip like thing down at the bottom. White Ranger movie edition, original 1995 movie, Toys R Us exclusive, obviously. On the back here, just like the others, you have the story, a bio on the Ranger, and then a full look at the collection of 7. So let's go ahead and take a look at Ivan Ooze. Alright, so here is Ivan Ooze, and he's not bad. His head sculpt could use some work. I don't like that head sculpt whatsoever. It's kind of cartoony, and he's got this weird grimace on his face that I think is really stupid. So I don't really enjoy his head sculpt all that much, or his face sculpt. His head sculpt itself is not that bad, but his face needs a little bit of work. Included with the figure is an additional hand that's holding his flute thing, except there's no detail on it whatsoever, so it just looks like a magic wand more than anything. And to do that, you just pop off his hand and place that one on if I don't fumble around and drop it. So just like that. Thanks to the ball and socket joint right there, you do have swivel and movement in the wrist right there. And obviously with the pin swivel up there on the shoulder, you get full rotation there. Single joint at the elbows, and that is it for him because he's in a dress. Robe. Rather, I'm sorry, it's a robe. He does have little feet, though, at the bottom that do swivel. It won't really do a whole lot since the feet barely touch the ground as opposed to the skirt thingy. But, you know, what are you going to do? He also has these little dangly arm things that I find kind of annoying more than anything. But to put those on, you just pop off the hand and then slide it over the wrist and onto the elbow area. They don't really add a whole lot. I mean, they're little dangly things. That's really about it. But not a bad figure. And now we're moving on to the Rangers, and I love these figures so much. They're great. They're great figures. White Ranger obviously includes Saba, which is a nicely painted Saba compared to the Legacy one, which didn't have as many paint apps. And I think it was a little bit smaller too. So we got a really nicely done Saba right here that is really enjoyable. But the figure itself is great. I have longed for figures of the movie suits since I seen the movie when I was a little kid, and now we finally have them, and I love what they did with these. Whereas the original Legacy release was just the action heroes in a little bit better of a paint job in some circumstances, or better painted weapons. These are all new molds. Yeah, they use the Action Hero mold as a base, but they're completely detailed to match the movie suits, and they just did an incredible job on these. All new helmets, all new bodies, new everything, and new levels of articulation that Bandai America really doesn't hit too often with these size class of figures. You do get a up and down swivel on White Ranger's arm, as well as a shoulder swivel, because these are attached to the shoulder as opposed to the body, like a lot of figure arts are. So you don't have to worry about any sort of arm articulation hindrance because of his armor design. So that is really cool. You do have a single joint at the knee and the elbow, But obviously, with the way that these hands are, there aren't any additional hands for the Rangers, but you do get a full swivel on the hands and a little bit of movement that way. But what really makes these figures shine are the feet. The feet are on a little ball and socket right down here that gives you a little bit of ankle tilt either way. See that right there, which is always nice to have in an action figure line, as well as a little bit of movement back and forth should you need it. My only complaint about this is that the ball and socket's so small that it doesn't hold a lot of weight, so it can easily start bending backward and then fall over. So it's a little hard to pose these guys sometimes, but you can probably thicken that joint a little bit with some nail polish or whatever and probably stiffen him up. But absolutely beautiful figure for sure. So if you're a fan of the White Ranger, you definitely want to pick this one up for sure. Now moving along to the normal looking Rangers. Here is the Red Ranger, and again, beautiful rendition of the figure. You might have noticed it with white, but these do indeed use the dinosaur coins on their chest, as seen in the first part of the movie. Then when they got the ninja powers, their coins changed. Unfortunately, there are no swappable coins or anything like that, though I do think if you got a knife in there, you could probably get this out. I think it's a separate piece. But there's no swappable coins, so you're stuck with the dinosaur motif and not the ninja motif, which is all right. I would have liked to see some sort of swappable gimmick in there, because I would have loved to pose these with the ninja coins for a little bit of a variety. Same with the Morphers. You can see the T-Rex coin in there on the Morpher, but the Morpher is removable. It is glued in a little bit, but I have seen people that were able to pry it off and pose them holding the Morpher. So that is something that you could probably do without breaking the figure, but I haven't been able to get any of mine out. But regardless, a very nice looking rendition of the Red Ranger. Now, each of the Rangers come with this Blade Blaster right down here, but unfortunately, it's stuck in this little stick mode. Well, it was called the Ranger Stick in Ranger, so I will give them that. And I don't ever remember how they're supposed to hold it in stick mode. I guess like this. So each of the Rangers can hold that, and they do have a nice little holster. I am very thankful for that. They included holsters for sure. So you can stick that right in the holster. Unfortunately, there are no actual like sword mode or blaster mode for those. They were never actually used in the show, or in the movie. They had props made for them, but they never actually used the blade blasters in the movie, so we get stuck with this little stick version instead. Now, he comes with no additional weapons because, again, the Rangers didn't use any of their normal weapons in the movie. However, the Red Ranger did have a special helmet, and that is included in with the figure, which is really cool. Cool? Yep. So this is the Power Scope helmet for the Red Ranger, and it's pretty neat. You just pop off the head, which is kind of easier said than done in some circumstances. It's a very big ball joint up there, so it's a little bit difficult to pop up. And then pop this one on, and now you have the Red Ranger with the Power Scope activated. Which is really cool. It's this little gimmick that the movie was trying to do with all the Rangers having different visors for their helmets or new weapons. And this is what the Red Ranger got, so I let him like see cloaked enemies and stuff. So the fact that that's represented in the figure is definitely really cool. Oh, the Black Ranger, despite Adam being probably my favorite character from that era of MMPR, he got the short end of the stick for sure. He includes no additional helmets or no additional weapons or anything like that. What you see right here is what you get in the box. So he is definitely the least worth it of all of the figures. That doesn't mean he's a bad figure by any means. I just realized there's no waist swivel on these. I really wish there was. But he does include the Blade Blaster right there. But other than that, you really get nothing with it. Again, I wish it was a frog coin because frogs are cool. But a very nice looking figure for sure, and he's got a little bit tighter joints than my White Ranger does, though he does have tendencies of toppling forward. Like I said, a very beautiful figure, but it's a shame that he had nothing. He did have a helmet in the movie, but that scene was cut. He had like big mammoth ears on his helmet that like let him hear really good or something, but that was ultimately cut from the final draft of the film. So our little Adam gets absolutely nothing. Moving along to the Blue Ranger, again, a very nice looking rendition. I'm pretty much going to say that for almost all of these. I love these molds a lot. These are probably my favorite molds that Bandai America has produced recently. I've been a big fan of the Action Hero mold, but this takes it up to a whole new level with the way that the hands and the feet work. Plus, the sculpting in general is just really good. Now, the Blue Ranger had no additional helmet, but he did have an additional weapon, the Stega Stinger, right here, which is basically just a taser. I think it had like this grappling ability too, but it ultimately is just a little blue taser. So he can hold that in his hand and start threatening people and then go, "Don't tase me, bro." That's a reference from way too long ago. So there you go. You got the Stega Stinger with the Blue Ranger. Hopping along to the female version of the mold, it's interesting. It's scaled a lot better than the normal Action Heroes in terms of bust size and waist size and stuff. They got really, really beefy thighs for whatever reason. I don't know if it was an articulation thing or what, but there's definitely some thick thighs on these figures, which kind of hinders the holster. There we go. A little bit. It's kind of stuck in this sort of half tilted position because of how thick the thighs are. But in terms of articulation, all the same points are there. There's no hindrances whatsoever. So still a very nice figure. Saber-tooth tiger coin in both the morpher and on the chest. And in the movie, the Yellow Ranger had headlights that appeared on her head, a la the yellow RPM Ranger. And of course, her head can pop off, which means her helmet was included with the big wide-eyed saber-tooth tiger eyes that formed the power beams, is what they called it. It was just headlights, come on. But it's still a cool addition to the figure. It's not as drastic of a change compared to the Red Rangers, for sure, but it is definitely a cool addition to set these figures apart from the others. And finally, the Pink Ranger. I have to give him props for the head sculpt on her. I just like the way that the pterodactyl wings look. That is how it was in the movie, and I'm glad they represented it well in the figure as well. Pterodactyl coin in both places. You got the pink blade blaster right there. I forgot to kind of mention that all the blade blasters are colored respectively for their Ranger, just like the Morphers. So nice attention to detail there. Even though they never even used the blade blasters, they were at least paying that much of attention to notice that they were different colored. Same mold as Yellow, down except for the head sculpt, obviously. And no skirt on Pink. The movie did not have skirts on the female Rangers, just like in the show not having the yellow one. Both of them didn't have a skirt in the movie, so she's got all sorts of articulation that the other Legacy Pink could not do. This one can accurately do her gymnastics and do a split, whereas the other figure cannot. So huge props to them for that, even though that really wasn't them, that was the movie. But still, I'm really happy that this figure can actually move. Now, in the movie, she had the Pterodactyl Thunder Whip? Yep, the Pterodactyl Thunder Whip. A sign of things past, I suppose, with thunder. But not bad. There's no wire in it or anything. It's not pliable, so it's just going to be like a weird-looking whip weapon that she holds. But she can hold the piece up here with her other hand to kind of like level things out and get a pretty interesting pose going. So, a nice little addition, just like the Stega Stinger with the Blue Ranger. So overall, I think if you are a fan of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie, these are must-haves. Like I said, I've been wanting figures for these suits since I've seen the movie when I was a little kid, and unfortunately all we got back then were metallic versions of the figures we already owned, which was really disappointing back then. Even though metallic was cool, absolutely. I really wanted representations of those suits, and McDonald's, I think, was the closest thing that actually delivered, and that was really disappointing. So here we are in 2014, 2015, and we finally got figures of these, and I am incredibly happy that we finally finally have them. And they're so good, too. High amounts of articulation. I love the way the wrists and the feet work, for sure. Some of the best that Bandai America has produced. And I hope this kind of quality can carry on to the main line. Doesn't look like it's going to, but at least sort of push it into making some more legacy figures for other seasons when we get to them. That might actually be a joke. So, who knows? But great figures, and if you're fans, you definitely have to check these out. So thanks for watching, take care, and have a great one. Bye.